So I'm going through this whole, I call it the historical processing. So after you go through a neurodivergent diagnosis, a lot of times you slowly start to, I don't know, my mind, I don't know if this happens to you, but almost every day there'll be like a new memory that I haven't thought about in 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Sometimes it's something very random and it pops up. And then I start processing that in a very different way. I'm like, oh, maybe it wasn't that he was mad at me, or maybe I didn't get fired because I was bad or wrong. Maybe I got fired because I made them feel uncomfortable. You know, either my knowledge or something, or the way, or my lack of, I don't know. I managed to get fired from almost every job I've ever had, even though it was always the best worker. So, and I never understood why they'd find some random reason to fire me. Came in on time, respectful. They would just find some tiny reason to fire me. Sometimes I could cite it and I got money for it, but you know, I think later I always ended up being a 1099, which is independent contractor, so they can fire you at will. But yeah, it never made sense to me, and it was a deep wound because it never made sense to me. You know, I understand if you do something wrong, yeah, okay, you know, you're not productive, you're disrespectful, you do something legitimately wrong, you hurt someone, fine, but never happened. So all of a sudden now that all that anger went away, you know, all that just hurt, thinking I mean, am I dumb? That was honestly my question. I'm like, I know I'm not dumb. I actually know I'm not dumb at all, you know, and I know I didn't do anything wrong. And once you realize that you didn't do anything wrong, and that's actually their issue, it's let them, this is their problem, you know? And I just said, I just got to start doing things my own way that works for me. The knowledge is there. Listen, I'll go back to orthodontics if I can practice it my way without people treating me badly. Sure, no problem.
Yeah, I interviewed, I'm probably going to reiterate this on a couple podcasts, but because it's so relevant. I interviewed Dr. Jody Wilson, who's a veterinarian, but also an academic researcher out of Australia. And she was talking very much what you're talking about here is how you have these flashbacks of memories. And she was talking about it very beautifully. Like she gets to rewind her life and then rewrite the stories of what happened, right? And I think that's beautiful that we can go back there and realize like, no, I wasn't being difficult. I was being unsupported.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that was what happened. I remember being an early, like I did consulting before I had all this knowledge of neurodiversity, and I did some consulting, and I just kind of reiterated some of the other consultants where it was like, if you're a poor culture fit, but a high producer, get rid of them fast, right? We want people that fit the culture more than the skill. And I think that's actually really, really harmful and discriminatory in a lot of ways. I know better because I think that people who are high producing, I think they're often misunderstood. And I actually don't think that we should be high producing. I think just like you have a floor for like what is acceptable performance, I think there should be a ceiling. And if somebody's pushing up against that ceiling of production, I think we need to bring them back down. Like, how do we bring them back down? Because I don't think that's sustainable productivity.
You're right. No, I mean, you're right. I mean, every job that